Hey guys, Brian with the Seat Shop. Yeah, man, something really funny happened to us this morning. Got a phone call from a customer. Got a good earful from him. He was doing his install, had a bunch of problems with it. There were some seams that were coming undone. He wasn't happy with the color match and the texture of the leather. And to take that another step further, he went ahead and actually was going to return the cover, and he shipped it back to us. And come to find out, it wasn't even our cover. We didn't manufacture it. A lot of our competitors will actually email their customers links to our install videos to show people how to put it on. And when you get the most mad, when you're putting it on, you find things aren't working, you call the phone number on the bottom of the screen. We get chewed out for a little while. It happens quite often, to be honest with you. But since he sent the cover back to us, might as well take the opportunity to kind of walk you through what you get with the cheap knockoff covers that are online. I'm going to show you all the aspects of it, how it's different from factory, what we do here at the Seat Shop, why ours match up with the original, and why this doesn't match up, and what you're really getting if you're going to save a couple bucks going this route. So the first big aspect that we're going to hit is going to be color. That's color's king. That's the most important thing. Typically is color. That's the first thing you're going to match up with is color. So factory, this is one of our covers here. So here's our color for shale. You see the color match, it's dead on. This is the same leather hides that we use to make this cover. Then we're going to go over to the factory cover. This is just an old takeoff that we had cataloged in the back. Same color material. And take it over to their cover. You see there's got a little more red to it. Another huge difference in texture, or the grain. So the grain means the pattern that's stamped into the leather. This is called Monticello grain. It's all veiny kind of look. That's what they ran in GM from 2000 to 02. This grain here, this is what GM ran from 07 to 14. Totally different. No business being in a 2002 model. Here's a swatch of leather from 07 to 14. This is called meridian or longitude grain. You can see these match up dead on with the grain. So wrong grain, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb on top of the color being off. So that's the first red flag when you put it in. The color's not going to match. So if you're just doing a bottom replacement, it's not going to match your original top. I don't care what you do to it. There's a couple other things that are different on this as well. So there's a seam that we omitted that ran all the way across the seat and then past this double stitch and went down the side. So what happens, and it happened to this particular customer too, is when you're installing it, there's a hole that's pre-cut. There's a round hole on the side that's pre-cut, because you're going to need to make some additional cuts to be able to put your control panel on there. But if you cut across where the stitch was double back and locked in, then this thing's going to start coming unraveled and start coming unstitched all the way up. So a couple days after you install it, you're going to have that problem. This guy had the exact same problem. You can see how this thing's coming apart just because the stitch was nicked when he's cutting the additional cutout that you need to be able to put the control panel back in. So years ago, we used to have that same problem. Customers calling, hey, I cut this when I installed it. So what do? We just omitted that seam down the side. It doesn't do anything, it's just aesthetics, but it was causing more problems than anything because people were spending their Saturday to put it on. They're cutting too much, nicking that, and it's starting to come unraveled. We just omitted that seam. So it's less problems that you could possibly have when you're doing your install. To have that out of there, it doesn't do anything extra for you. It just can potentially cause a problem, so we omitted that. Another thing is going to be the texture, not really the texture, but the leather and the parts of the hides that they used, what they call loose break in the leather. So loose break, you can see how this, if you run your fingers kind of back and forth, opposite of one another, you see all these peaks and valleys and how it ripples up. Kind of looks like the back of your grandma's hand, you know? Looks like that. That's real loose. This is typically going to be from like the underbelly of the hide, the real soft portion. That stuff's not going to hold up real well. You want it to be a lot more stiff, a lot more rigid, not to have all these peaks and valleys in it. If you look at this piece of leather, this is the leather we use, you run your hands back and forth, you can see it's real tight. You're not getting all these crazy peaks and valleys to it. That's how it's supposed to be. Here's a cut of some leather, because all hides are going to have some of the stuff on the flanks and areas like that. But this is what we cut off. This is trash. We don't use this. But you see, if you run your fingers back and forth, all those peaks and valleys, very similar to what you're seeing on the leather that was used here on the covers. If you look at our cover, same piece, run your hands back and forth, you don't get all those crazy peaks and valleys. It's not real loose. It doesn't have that break in it. we use the better part of the hide. We throw the other stuff in the trash. It's not worth it. It's just gonna wear out. Here's the factory one. Same thing. You run your fingers back and forth on that. It's nice and stiff. It doesn't have those valleys and peaks and stuff in it. This is gonna hold up and wear way better than something like that. Something like this is fine for your nice high-end furniture, couch, or whatever the heck, but not for a car. When you're getting in and out of it all the time, it's gonna wear out. This stuff's gonna look like, it's not gonna look good. You don't wanna have that in there. There's a couple other things to it on the stitching. So the stitching, in regards to stitches per inch. So how many stitches there are per inch? And it doesn't really matter how many stitches per inch other than the fact that they both match each other on the other side. It makes a little bit of difference, but you can see this was sewn with a single needle sewing machine, where this panel was sewn independently of this panel. So you can see how short these stitches are and where the hole is. It doesn't line up with the hole on the other side, how long this stitch is, and these are short. They need to be uniform. They need to be identical to one another. Now this is a picky aspect, but I also want to show a difference. All the factory stuff, all of seat shop stuff is sewn with double needle machines, so they match up well. You can do it with a single needle, but you're really going to take time and effort and really have a lot of pride in what you're doing to make sure they all match up right. You can definitely do it with a single, but man, the way to do it is with a double, so they're right all the time. You can show our cover here. Double needle machine, have the right equipment for the right job. All the holes line up dead on with each other the whole way, just like they're supposed to. You won't have that problem. All the stitches are going to be uniform. Other thing is going to be the vinyl on the side of the seats. So there's a process called flame lamination. Flame lamination takes the vinyl and the foam backing and adheres them together. Okay, so it adds some stiffness and rigidity to the material. And that makes a big difference when you're doing the install. So on the side of the seats, if part of it's pulled too far forward and the bottom's pulled back, whatever, you're going to get some rippling in the side of the seats. This stuff here is not laminated. It's just loose. It's just sewn around the perimeter, but nothing's adhering those. So it's just, it can, when you're installing it, it can pull and you get a lot of different ripples and stuff in the cover when you're putting it on. It just makes it a whole lot more difficult on fit and finish to be able to get that once you got it installed, to make sure everything's sitting right. Factory, here's the factory OE. It's all laminated. You can see that it's adhered, so that foam doesn't peel back from the backing. It's adhered on. All of our stuff is laminated as well. Here's the foam. It's adhered on. And it's adhered the whole way, not just halfway, just kind of glued on a little bit. The whole thing is adhered onto. It's hard to peel that stuff off even if you tried to. So that makes a big difference. You know, if you want to save some money, this is what you're going to get. I don't want to trash talk what it is. I'm just pointing out the differences of what these are, what you're going to get if you go the cheap route, the 100 and some change on eBay or whatever. This is the type of product that you're going to get. It's not going to match with the original. These are the things. If you're selling your truck, patch it up, send it to the auction, slap one of these on there, send it out. You're never going to see it again. But if you're keeping the truck, you're fixing your seat cover for a reason. You want to keep the truck, you want to fix it up and look nice. Might as well go the right way. Get the right seat cover to match up with the original. Go with the seat shop. If you like this content, man, like us, follow us on all of our social channels. We do a lot of videos like this, showing what's on the market, how we do it, the correct way to do it. Man, thanks for your time.